Last year at this conference, we heard from Peter Moore, who marveled at the performance of Microsoft pre and post Satya Nadella. He observed that Microsoft had the same market cap when Steve Ballmer first became CEO and when he left 14 years later. So in the 8 years since Satya Nadella became CEO, Microsoft's market cap has increased by more than 6x, becoming one of the world's most valuable companies. I have long wondered whether the first seeds of this new Microsoft came from the famous Dev division, home of all the developer tools, compilers, and runtimes that we're all likely so familiar with, such as Visual Studio Code, TypeScript, the CLR, and so much more. There are some fantastic glimpses of this in the book Customer-Driven Culture, which came out last year. And ever since reading that book, I've been wanting to interview someone who is featured so prominently, which is Amanda Silver, who is now Corporate Vice President of Product for Developer Tools, on how they were able to create this amazing learning dynamic within the developer division. Reaching out to her has been on my to-do list for what feels like years, especially since she came up so frequently in conversations I had with other people. And then I heard her January interview that she did with Scott Hanselman. And she shared her perspectives on remote work and its impact on leadership values that she holds near and dear, which blew me away. I think she has lessons that are relevant for every technology leader, and I'm so delighted and honored that she was willing to share her thoughts with us today. Amanda, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Gene.
So, I've introduced you in my words, but can you introduce yourself in your own words and describe what you're working on these days?
Sure. I'm Amanda Silver. I am the CVP that runs the PM, design, and user research teams for Microsoft's developer division. And as you described, the developer division basically works on all of the products at Microsoft and platforms that target developers as the primary audience. And so that's Visual Studio Family, .NET Runtime, most recently the Azure PaaS platform as well. Basically, the application platform portion of Azure is also in the developer division. And we work very closely with the GitHub team on product integration. So, I've been at Microsoft since 2001. I've always been working for developers. And, part of the reason for that is I just love having developers as my audience. I think of them as my muse. In a way, developers are tech enthusiasts. They are early adopters. And so as a product person, I really live for fast feedback cycles. And I love having developers be my audience because, I can ship something in the morning and know by the end of the day whether it was a hit or a dud.
That's so awesome. So Amanda, in the book, Customer-Driven Culture, you spoke so eloquently about how important it was for leaders to have awareness, curiosity, and courage. Can you talk about what these attributes mean to you and why you think they're so important?
Oh, these are foundational. I mean, this is what our boot camp inside of the developer division is really based on. And we bring everyone through a 2-week boot camp and kind of bring them through awareness, curiosity, and courage. For me, I think the awareness aspect is understanding that everyone is coming to everything that they do with a certain set of biases and preconceived notions. And so it's understanding basically what are the sets of data points that you have, the lived experiences that you have that are informing your point of view. And then recognizing that might not be all of the information that you should be using to make a decision. And so that's a dimension of awareness. I think another dimension of awareness is also understanding how you show up, how your presence and the way that you're showing up influences other people in the room. Curiosity is really just this dimension. It's kind of very related to growth mindset and the idea of lifelong learning. But curiosity is kind of this idea of that every opportunity is an opportunity to learn and to elevate your thinking and even your organization's thinking on a particular matter. And so that's just a foundational element of everything that we do when we're working on a technical problem or we're trying to make a data-driven decision. Curiosity is an integral part of that. And then courage is being willing to have intellectual honesty and rigor and bring that to the conversations that you have, even when it might feel scary and it might even put your own position at risk, or it might cause you to call out someone who may be more senior than you, and make sure that we're actually having a conversation based on facts as opposed to, hierarchy. And so one of the things that we talk about a lot in our team is that we don't want to have decisions made by the highest paid person in the room. We want to have decisions that are made, we call that the hippo, highest paid person in the room. We want to drive decisions based on data, based on intellectual honesty, rigor, and we want to be able to talk about that openly and share that with our team.
That's so wonderful. And in that interview, you also talked about your desire to make sure that everyone in the team or in the organization, in the collective hive mind, that they have a voice. And I suppose one can hear this and think that you're just being nice, meaning you're being considerate. But I suspect that for you, it has a lot more to something much bigger than just being nice. Can you talk to that?
Well, I think there's two dimensions of it. One is scale, and kind of, the idea of how does a leader actually scale to something that they can't personally be the expert in every dimension. And so you need to be able to empower your teams. And then the next aspect of that is empowerment. When we think about how do we actually build organizational capacity, we need to actually continue to invest in the next generation and trust them to make those decisions. And so I think part of the approach that we have is to empower our team so that they can actually become the experts in this particular portion of the market, the competition,